definition for what that means. For most of us, it means a certain set of boundaries or restrictions that either we or society places on us. I know for myself, I lived a good deal of the earlier part of my career inside of the box. And for me, that meant going to college, getting that corporate job, and climbing the ladder, and literally all I cared about was making money. And that's the box that I lived in, and the box as you define it may be totally different. But the fact is, if I didn't find a way to break out of that and find a way to achieve happiness and success in my life and my career, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm going to share my story with you and some of the experiences that I've learned to hopefully help you start taking chances and try living your life outside of the box and see where it takes you. My journey began at CU when I received a degree in finance. And while I was here, I set 2 goals for myself. 1, I wanted to own my own business before the age of 30. And 2, I wanted to be hired as the CEO of a company. So after I left CU, I went to go work in investment banking and finance. And I was hired on as the assistant director of operations for a multi-million-dollar investment fund. And while I was there, I was learning all the ins and outs of how Wall Street works and how deals get done and how finance makes the world go around. But as much as I was learning, I knew that in order to get where I wanted to go, I couldn't just stay in that one field. I needed to break out and get some more well-rounded experience. And so when I had the opportunity to leave this lucrative industry, I took it and I went to go work in marketing and communications. After that move, I began to look at my career like a game of chess. Which directions would I strategically move in order to achieve my ultimate goal? As you know, with the game of chess, you don't have to be a grandmaster to be the best, but if you're constantly looking ahead and looking for that next move, that's what's important. And I knew I didn't want to get boxed into any one role. And so anytime somebody offered me an opportunity to go work in business development or sales or communications or operations, I took those opportunities. And sure, it was outside of my comfort zone. That is not what I knew. But I had to push myself and get out there because I ultimately had these goals that I wanted to achieve. And so it was important to face that uncomfortable zone and live in that uncomfortable zone in order to get where I wanted to go. So all of these experiences began to pay off. And in 2004, some opportunities developed and I had the chance to buy my first company. 104 West was a startup PR firm. And I took on the role of the COO and the CFO. And while I was there, I was managing everything from the business side, the operations, the finance, the accounting, the HR, and I managed some client accounts. And life was really good. And in 6 years, we grew that firm to become Denver's largest technology-focused PR firm in Denver. And despite all the successes that we were having, you might find this interesting or ironic, I still didn't feel like I was totally happy. Looking back, it was really important to me that I took all those chances. I worked in all those fields and I got as well-rounded as possible because it did it did help me to achieve my first goal of owning my own business before the age of 30, and we were successful with it, but there was still something missing. Despite how much money we were making, I didn't feel that this was going to take my career ultimately to where I wanted it to go. And so at that point I knew I had to go find my passion, and I honestly had no idea where that was going to come from. Then my life was about to take the biggest turn that I never expected. While I was at 104 West, we decided to have a family, and as you can see, it did not go as planned. In fact, this was probably the scariest thing that I've ever had to do in my life, but it was also the best thing that ever happened to me. Our daughter was born premature. She was born 9 weeks early, weighing just 3 pounds, 6 ounces. And when she was born, her lungs weren't fully developed, and so she couldn't breathe on her own. And so she was immediately put on life support. And she was rushed into the neonatal intensive care unit, where she also suffered from a heart defect and pneumonia and a host of other challenges. And we lived in the NICU with her, in the neonatal intensive care unit, for 50 days, not knowing whether or not she was going to survive or much worse. And of all the health challenges that she had, the most serious was the fact that she had suffered a stroke. And the doctors said it was really bad. There was so much brain damage. We didn't know if she would ever be able to walk. She may not talk. She may not ride a bike. She may never speak to us. And all the dreams that we had for our child suddenly were put on hold. We didn't know if she'd go on to be the dancer or the horseback rider or the artist, anything that we had dreamed for her. And I told myself at that moment, if she made it, that I would dedicate my life to giving back and to helping others. Guess what? She did make it. And she's doing all the things that the doctors said would not be possible or may not be possible. She did go on to walk and talk and ride a bike, and she even is learning to ski in the Vail Adaptive Ski Program. Talk about a child who's living her life outside of the box and pushing all the boundaries that doctors and we placed on her and for what we thought she may not be able to do. What an amazing experience that is. And I started to realize this is it. This is my passion. This is what I'm here to do. I need to live a life that has more meaning and to be able to give back and to be able to help others. And after I had that realization, my whole world began to change. My whole perspective began to change because I suddenly realized, you know what? It's not just about taking chances and making money and climbing that corporate ladder, but it's about finding your passion and combining those together that would take my career to a whole new level and my life to a happier place. And so I started to look at my life through a different lens. What if I could take the biggest risk yet with my career? And what if I threw my hat in the ring to become the CEO of a multi-million-dollar nonprofit? Was I ready? Could I make this change? I didn't know, but I knew I had to try. And so when the opportunity came up to put my hat in the ring to become the CEO of the March of Dimes in Colorado, I took that chance. Okay, here's the problem. The job I'm going for calls for 10 years of leading a nonprofit, 10 years of experience leading a nonprofit. I didn't even have nonprofit experience. But I was so excited about this with my renewed passion and my outlook on life that I had to take a shot. And so I set to work and I put together an executive book that went beyond just my resume. And I put together all of the things that made me as well-rounded as possible to run this organization. And I also built a 3-year vision for where I saw this organization today and where I would take it in the future and why I was the right person to take it there. And I remember sitting in my interview with the board of directors, and there were 3 CEOs of major companies interviewing me. And they all sat there and they looked at me and they said, Kathryn, you literally have no nonprofit experience. What are you doing? And I said to them, you're right, I don't. But here's what I do have. You have a business. It's a nonprofit, but at the end of the day, it's a business. And you need a business executive to run this business. Because at the end of the day, we still have to market it, we still have to watch our finances, and we have to generate sales. And more importantly, I'm the right person to do it because I've had all of this experience. I've run my own company and I've worked in all these industries. And what I have that somebody else doesn't have is I have a passion for giving back. And I shared my story of what we went through with Jordan, our daughter, and I put that all together and I laid it all on the table, hoping that I would get this position. And guess what? It worked. And last year, I was named just the 2nd state director in 17 years to lead the March of Dimes in Colorado. And I'd achieved my 2nd goal of becoming the CEO of a company. And because of this, my career has been taken to an entirely new level. I'm overseeing a multi-million-dollar business across the entire state, which includes overseeing staff in 3 separate divisions, 4 separate operating boards of directors, dozens and dozens of corporate partners, and thousands of volunteers. And my job today is the blend of everything that I've learned, all those experiences I've learned, because again, even though it's a nonprofit, we still have to track our finances and manage them diligently, and we still have to compete for those dollars, and we still have to get our story out there. And the best part is, I'm now working for an organization that is literally touching millions and millions of lives and striving for one day to have all babies be born healthy. Here's what else is cool, and something that I didn't really expect. I'm doing things today that I never thought I'd be doing at this stage of my career. I'm working with heads of hospitals and corporate executives and members of Congress, and I'm regularly giving media interviews, and I'm speaking to groups and spreading our message. And all of that would not be possible had I not been willing to take chances and find my passion and combine those things to taking my career to the next level and to creating a place where I'm extremely happy. So my question to you is simple. How will living outside of the box help you? What if you took more chances? And what if you combine that with your passion? Where would that lead you? I could have easily just settled in my career and never having worked to achieve the goals that I had set forward. And had I not found my passion, I don't think I would be as happy as I am today. And my passion is different than your passion. The way you find your passion will be different than the way I found my passion. But the point is, find it. Live in your uncomfortable space. Take chances, take risks, and combine those two. And find your passion and have that help you achieve much more than you ever thought would be possible. So I challenge each and every one of you to think big, take chances, find your passion, and start living your life outside of the box. Thank you.